The first item is the fire ban, and the fire ban across the county. I know many of you may have been receiving inquiries about this, and I know staff certainly is, and particularly about backyard fires. And so last week, all of the Bruce County Fire Chiefs met, and they reached a unifying recommendation that the countywide fire ban stay in effect until the province lifts some of the restrictions that are currently in place. The ban was put in place with the intention of limiting first responders coming into contact with COVID-19 and to keep the firefighters safe and healthy. And the fire chiefs felt that the risks to personnel are really the same today as they were weeks ago when this was implemented, and are doing everything possible to keep our volunteer firefighters at home and not at incident scenes where their risk of exposure is higher. So the chiefs will be reviewing the need for the fire ban again in 2 weeks, May 14th or earlier if the province lifts the provincial burn ban. Moving forward with the ban in place, fire departments will be accommodating the agricultural community. So if there are specific situations that a fire is required to accommodate the future food production, landowner can apply to the local fire department for an exemption to the burn ban, and then it will be permitted. And these exemptions are very limited, and they must prove a need, not just for convenience only. The next item is community safety and well-being plans. You will remember the county initiated a county-wide project to implement community and safety well-being plans, and the deadline for that was January 1st, 2020. And we've received a communication from the Ministry of the Solicitor General stating that that will be delayed, but we don't know what the deadline is going to be as of yet, but they'll communicate that to us when it has been determined. The province has deemed community gardens to be essential because they're a source of fresh food for some individuals and families. And local medical officers of health are going to provide advice, recommendations, and instructions that the garden must meet in order to operate, such as physical distancing, cleaning and disinfecting commonly used equipment and surfaces. So Karen, our Director of Recreation, is working with the Bruce Public Health Unit to ensure proper protocols are put in place for the safety of those using the community gardens located at Getty's Park in Kincardine. Farmers markets have also been deemed essential by the province, but despite this, we have received correspondence from the Medical Officer of Health in Grey Bruce recommending that farmers markets be kept closed at the current time. The municipality has canceled all events, as you know, and that includes municipal events until June 30th, and farmers markets were included in that communication. When farmers markets are ready to open, the province has provided a couple of options that would need to be part of any plans to reopen, with the final approval coming from the health unit. And so staff is working with the organization who runs our farmers market to assist them through those guidelines when they are ready to open. We are also receiving a lot of inquiries about beaches, and I'm sure council is as well. And there seems to be a little bit of inconsistency there. And that is because originally the province announced that all beaches were closed. However, later they provided clarification to the chiefs of police across the province that beaches were open for walkthrough purposes only. So that would mean things like dog walking or exercising. Those were the examples that were given. But we still have to ensure that social distancing at 6 feet and no more than 5 people remains in place. So that makes it somewhat difficult to enforce. Most municipalities have kept their signage up indicating that beaches are closed because of this difficulty for enforcing some of those provisions. But we're getting a lot of calls about this inconsistency. So we have been speaking with Krista Miller, our detachment commander for the OPP, and we've decided to change the signage at the beach to reflect the province's position and to be consistent with our enforcement ability. So we can monitor the situation, and if we find that people are not adhering to the social distancing and walkthrough rules, then we do have the ability to close the beaches at the municipal level and enforce this through the OPP. we're still getting a lot of inquiries around launching boats from the beach, swimming, and those types of things. And it is a real concern from the enforcement perspective, and the OPP is somewhat, I guess, perplexed by the lack of clarity at the provincial level in how they enforce those sorts of things, because if you start to allow those activities, then, it's a very quick step to having sunbathers and picnickers, and that's not really the intent of what the provincial order was. So we're going to monitor the situation and see if we have to do anything further when the weather gets better and people are wanting to congregate towards the beaches. The Medical Officer of Health is continuing communication regarding seasonal residents. A press release was issued just today, and it is still encouraging people not to travel to this area. However, they are acknowledging that if you are already at your seasonal residence or cottage, to stay there, don't travel back and forth between locations. And they've also added to the communication not to invite friends and family to visit your seasonal residence or cottage, and follow the measures that are put in place for social distancing. You may have noticed there was an order coming out of Norfolk County that was actually an order from the Medical Officer of Health restricting people from going to their seasonal residences, and I think it's getting quite a bit of backlash on social media. Dr. Era, our Medical Officer of Health, said that he was in discussion with the Chief Medical Officer of Health for the province and also all of the regions, and they did not decide to move forward with this approach, and they're going to continue with their messaging as was released today. Our emergency control group is continuing to meet weekly, and we discuss issues and receive updates from agencies. You may also be receiving inquiries about the Waste Management Center, and Public Works is working on a plan to reopen the Waste Management Center with procedures in place to protect the staff working at that facility. And as you know, Premier Ford announced last week that the Ontario government is allowing certain businesses and workplaces to reopen as long as they comply with strict public health measures. And those include seasonal businesses and some essential construction projects. You will find that if you are a business who is on the list that is permitted to start now, there is 60 sector-specific guidelines on the Ontario website to help employers prepare their workplaces so they can be reopened safely, and we are referring a number of our businesses to that website so they can ensure that they're following those protocols. Among the businesses that are allowed to open now, we have garden centers and nurseries with curbside pickup only, lawn care and landscaping, and this was a really contentious issue among our residents. We were hearing a lot from our local lawn care contractors and residents wanting to be able to use lawn care contractors. And so this is good news for those people that they are able to maintain their properties. And the additional essential construction projects, which does include municipal projects. We have referred our capital projects for the year, and a report is coming forward at the next meeting recommending some projects to be deferred. Now, in light of this announcement, we may be able to move forward with some projects. However, we do need to seek clarity from the province about whether specific projects are essential or not. So it may take us a bit of time to work through that. Child care centers are also listed, automatic and self-serve car washes. Golf courses can prepare their courses for the upcoming season, but not open to the public. And marinas as well can begin preparations for the boating season by servicing boats and placing boats in the water, but they are not yet open to the public. And Karen is working with the Kincardine Yacht Club to prepare the marina for reopening. On April 27th, the Ontario government released the framework for reopening the province, and it's a three-stage plan where we would gradually open more businesses, and in the final stage we would be opening all workplaces and relaxing restrictions on public gatherings. On our weekly calls with Dr. Era, the medical officer of health, he has reiterated that this is not a timeline, it is a roadmap, and we will move through these phases based on the reduced spread of the disease in our community. So as the reproductive rate of the virus declines, we will be able to open things up, but we also have to watch what the province does, because we do not want to open too soon and encourage people to come from other regions where the reproductive rate of the virus is still higher. Just as another note, we have been receiving inquiries from local organizations wanting to raise funds and do bottle drives, and the OPP is not in support of that at this time. And also, in light of the province starting to talk about reopening, the senior managers and our HR manager are working to develop plans for how the municipality can reopen safely. And this is going to include any personal protective equipment, physical barriers for customer service areas, shift work for business continuity, and to reduce the number of people reporting to one location. And so we will continue to report back to Council on those plans as the province proceeds through those stages of reopening under the provincial framework. And that is the end of my update, and I would be happy to take any questions, or senior managers can respond as well.